Today we're going to talk about how to stay healthy during the pandemic. When we started this in March, we all kind of thought we'd be in isolation for a couple weeks and then it would be all good. But unfortunately, it looks like we're in this for the long haul. And so the vices that we indulged during that time, we really need to start focusing on making sure that we are engaging in really healthy behavior and staying healthy during the pandemic. And so I have a couple of tips that I think are important. The first is to make sure that you're structuring your day. So even though you may not have specific things that you need to do, it's good to have a routine so that you don't fall into bad habits. The other is to make sure that you're engaging in activities so that you are not bored, you are not idle. We all know what our grandma said about idleness. So it's really important that you find a hobby, of course, either virtual or one that you can do in your yard, but that you find a hobby such as gardening, or it's a great time to learn how to knit. Doesn't matter what you're doing, just make sure that you're doing something to occupy your mind besides devices, television, and social media. All of those are very overstimulating and have actually been associated with insomnia. And so really recommend a lot of physical activity and then engaging your brain in things that don't involve screens. Other areas that we're concerned about, a lot of people are cooking at home, doing a lot of baking, things that we don't normally do. And so it's really important to pay attention to our diet and make sure that we're eating healthy, and also that we're not overeating or comfort eating, and also that you're not eating close to bedtime. So we want to try to stop eating around 7 o'clock and not do the late night snacking, because that is a major driver for weight gain. So we want to pay attention to what we're eating and putting in our bodies, and along those lines, alcohol is the other thing that we need to pay attention to. It has become very easy for people to drink because they don't have to be anywhere, they don't have to drive, there's no obligations. And so we have seen an uptick in alcohol use, and it is very important to pay attention to that, especially as we are moving into more of a longer term time period where we're not going to be able to go out and do the things that we typically would do. So please monitor alcohol intake. The recommendation was just changed by the CDC. So for women, it's always been no more than 1 drink per day. They actually just changed men from 2 drinks per day down to 1 drink per day. So please be aware and cautious, as alcohol can lead to a lot of short-term and long-term problems. Other things that are very important are physical activity and exercise. A lot of people who are going to the gym now are not doing that. It's not safe right now with our prevalence in our community. So I do recommend trying to find either a virtual class or trainer. The YMCA in Charlotte, the JCC all have online classes. Peloton has an app you can use to actually put in what you want to do and for how long you want to do it, and they will spit out a class that you can do. It's very important to be outdoors right now. It is very hot, so try to go out early in the morning, later in the evening, wear the bug spray, keep the mosquitoes away. But we do want you to go outside and get some exercise. And then the other thing that I think is also important is some just minimal strength training. So if you have some even low weight hand weights, just doing 10 to 15 minutes of weightlifting each day. The repetition of it burns calories, it builds strength, it improves balance. It's a great way to stay in shape while you're at home. And for those of you who have used trainers in the past, I would suggest contacting them and trying to set up a virtual training session. If you choose to meet with your trainer, we recommend that you do that outdoors. And that you maintain a distance and are both masked, and that you do not share equipment. But exercise remains a very, very important part of our regimen. And in fact, it's really important in terms of if you get coronavirus, you want to be in good physical shape. We do know that obesity is one of the major drivers of complications with coronavirus. And so we want to make sure that we maintain our healthy bodies. The other thing that is important is ergonomics. So there are many people working from home who were not working from home previously. So getting a stand-up desk, getting a proper desk, not using the card table or the kitchen counter, making sure that everything is neutral so that your head is neutral with the screen and your hands are neutral with the keyboard and the mouse. And you may need to get things like a wrist bump for the mouse, and you may need to adjust some things, but we have seen carpal tunnel, we've seen a lot of back and neck issues, and so it's really important to make sure that you pay attention to chair, desk, and everything on it to make sure that you're not doing repetitive activities that can be harmful to your body. Some of you may work for large companies who may have somebody who specializes in this, and you may want to look into that and see if there's somebody who can help you make sure that your desk setup is correct. If not, you can ask one of us. Most importantly, there are some things that will be very important as we are all getting a bit fatigued with the pandemic, and that is, do not let your guard down. Continue to do only the activities that are absolutely necessary. Always wear a mask. If you meet with people, do so outdoors. And if you can't keep any kind of distance, you need to wear a mask. Avoid large groups. Observe those coronavirus safe behaviors. Being with family is really important. And I think a lot of us are to the point of we just want to hug our grandparents, or we want our kids to hug their grandparents. Zoom is still a great way for them to meet. In the backyard, just be very cautious. Family gatherings, backyard barbecues, this is part of what's driving the current coronavirus epidemic. And then finally, make sure you get your flu vaccine in October. Please also keep in mind that we have some great resources here at Signature Healthcare, including a dietitian and an exercise physiologist who can both help navigate you through all of these issues related to the pandemic. And if you have any questions, please call the office.